Quarter to 9. Hello, everybody. Good to have you along. Mirella Amato is here. She is a master cicerone when it comes to beer, which is the equivalent of being a master sommelier with wine. One of very few. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
And you have a new book out called Beerology, everything you need to know to enjoy beer even more. So we're going to talk specifically about beer and barbecue. It's the season, right? So let's start with what you've got down there.
Sure. Well, I've brought a Pilsner for everyone because the Pilsner is the usual summer drink that we all enjoy as soon as it gets warm out, right? We want something golden and refreshing.
Yep.
But when it comes to barbecued foods, Pilsners are not necessarily the best option for pairing. While they're going to definitely be refreshing and make you feel better about the heat and maybe the heat of the grill.
So this is a starter.
It's a starter, yes.
What kind of Pilsner is this
That's Old Credit Pale Pilsner. It's one of our Ontario Pilsners here.
Oh, very well.
But once you bring out the food, what you want to do is find beers that will complement the flavors of the food. Because while a Pilsner will definitely wash the food down, it's not going to heighten the experience. If you can find a beer that brings out flavors in the food or that will bring out flavors in the beer by being paired with the food, it's a completely new and different experience.
Yep.
So I have a little cheat tool that I use. It's called Mirella's rule of thumb, and that's just line up the color of your beer with the color of the main ingredient that you're grilling.
Okay.
So for example here, if you have fish that you're grilling, like a white fish, golden beer works very well. This is La Fin du Monde, which is triple style beer. And then with pork, or if you're a vegetarian, lentil patties, that sort of thing, I go into amber beers. Amber lagers in particular I find work very well. This is the King Vienna. Just an example. Then if you're into the steak or maybe portobello mushrooms, you know, some people put a
kind of meaty
portobello
and
cap
heavy
on a bun, then go brown. So this is a brown ale, black coconut brown. And on the end there, I threw in a fruit beer. Because fruit beers are just delicious, and they're a great option instead of the Pilsner if you're trying different salads and things. I mean, think about it, you know, there's like a raspberry vinaigrette sometimes on salads, so why not just use a raspberry beer and get that complement there. The only thing you really want to keep in mind, though, is that grilled foods are a bit more intense in flavor, so you want to make sure that these beers can stand up to the intensity of the food. So that's why, for example, I chose the triple instead of the Pilsner.
What does triple mean?
A triple is a style of beer from Belgium. I'm just going to ask you to smell the two and notice how much more intense this one is, although they're close in color.
Yeah, Belgian beer in particular is a very unique flavor.
Yeah, a triple is a Belgian-style Trappist ale. It's higher in alcohol, but it's lower in hops, and that is important in the case of pairing with fish, because although, here's the great news about pairing beer with food, you're rarely going to come across a clash. Very rarely.
Really? What if it's really hoppy? Because you look at a lot of beers and there's levels of hop. And hop is sort of, you'd probably be better to explain it, but it's a level of bitterness and punchiness when it comes to the beer. So is the stronger it gets, like, do you have to pair stronger food with it?
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So that's the intensity that I was talking about, and grilled foods tend to be quite intense. But it's interesting you mentioned hops, because that's the one thing you need to be aware of when pairing beer with food, is when you have a fish that's quite oily, the hops can distort a little bit. But with that one exception, otherwise, I generally recommend just mix and match. Have a little bit of fun. That's why I put the tray here.
Well,
you'll rarely come across a clash.
Which again, you only expect with wine, typically, where you get the small serving so you can try a lot. So which of these is that the raspberry one?
Yeah, I just threw in 4 of the beers: the raspberry beer, the Vienna lager. That's the triple on the end. If anyone is curious, it packs a bit of a punch, though.
So what's interesting now is these are interesting times when it comes to beer, because people use all types of flavors when it comes to fruit and chocolate. And before they thought it had to follow a strict guideline, but now it's like, well, let's try this. Much like wine has, right?
The fruit one's very subtle too.
It is quite subtle. It's amazing what brewers are doing these days. With the craft beer movement in the early years, it was really about replicating traditional styles from other areas, and now they're branching out. They're trying all kinds of different things. There's barrel aging. There are people who are fermenting beers with bacteria to get a little bit of sourness, and so I address those at the end of the style chapter of the book.
I say finally, because a lot of times wine, people talk about the chemistry of it all, and beer just tends to be like, oh, you get it at a bar.
Yeah.
But what's amazing about this is we commented on the glasses before, but interestingly enough, glasses play a big role in terms of flavor. So what should we look out for when it comes to the the
It
receptor.
looks so pretty, which is maybe, is that a girly thing to say? But watching the bubbles go, it's
That's
like watching
actually
champagne.
part of the reason why this glass is this shape. So it wasn't at all girly of you to say. That's part of the idea. So these glasses, the tall, narrow ones, are designed for beers that are lighter in color, so you can see the light shine through, and highly carbonated beers, so you get the lovely effect. But very much like a champagne flute, the long glass just helps hold that carbonation in.
Mirella, I'm wondering, what do you like? Because when you travel around the world, in some parts of Europe, you ask for a pint and it'll come to you warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like it warm, or do you prefer it ice cold?
Well, it depends on the style of beer. So a lot of these more flavorful beers, you want a little bit warmer. Not warm, but maybe around 13 degrees. What I usually say, because who puts a thermometer in a beer, is just pull it out maybe 20 minutes before you're going to drink it. Or if you're not that patient, pull out your second beer at the same time as your first one. So at least the second one's at the right temperature once you get to it.
Like stout
but
would
with
be
these
warmer,
beers
right?
here, yes, absolutely.
So the darker beer would be a little bit warmer.
But anything that's designed to be crisp and refreshing, straight out of the fridge is great. They say 7 degrees
This is
Celsius.
lovely. And Rosie's more of a, you know beer more than I do, and when we both took a sip, you said you found it kind of sweet, which
Yeah,
is,
just to
Smell
to
it.
the nose right here.
it's really
Yeah.
easy to drink, though,
Oh, that's a summer, it's a summer beer.
Yeah.
For sure.
for a non-beer
Yeah.
drinker.
Yeah, you think it would be heavy, right? You think of beer being, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it just kind of weighs you down, but no, there's
We're
so many
converting it
different
slowly.
kinds.
I know, I like that.
Effervescent.
The book is called Beerology. Mirella Amato, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Great talking to you. 8:52, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
It's been getting so hard.